Live? Okay,
We're live.
amazing. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining. This is episode 5 of the Club dVIN 2023 Roadmap series. I can't believe we're on episode 5. Tonight, we are going to be talking about a really exciting new feature that's going to be coming to our members. And it's going to be all about how to tokenize your private wine cellar. So my name is Jana Kryline. I am a co-founder of Club dVIN and an international wine communicator. I've done a few pretty interesting TV projects. I got to co-host in an Austrian wine documentary series next to Aldo Somm, one of the world's greatest sommeliers. And I've got a little bit of a presence on social media. You might know me as the Wine Girl. And joined with me today is my fellow co-founder of dVIN, David Garrett. David is very involved in wine media and actually has built up some very cool projects himself, including the Vines of Mendoza, no big deal. But Dave, do you want to take it away and give a little more background on what you do?
Sure. I'm Dave Garrett. I have no social media presence, so that's important to know right from the start. I've been in the wine business for 20 years. I'm kind of too old to have a social media presence actually, but as Jenna said, I started in Argentina. I was the one of the founders of the Vines of Mendoza. After that, worked in Hong Kong for a couple of years, and more recently, I'm here in Barcelona, where I have a tiny project in the Priorat, and also have been mostly working, as she said, on wine media. I've published some books and a few podcast series, and I'm working on a couple of different pretty interesting wine television shows. So, and then obviously, about a little over a year ago, we founded dVIN, which is really exciting, and it's kind of for me. I used to work in technology, and it's really one of the most exciting new things in wine that I've seen in my career, and I've been in the wine business for 20 years. So, really cool. Very happy to be here. Super excited. Thanks, Jenna.
Yeah, no, and thanks for the dVIN opportunity. Dave brought me on last year, and what we've been building with not only Club dVIN but the platform in general is really set to revolutionize the wine industry, and we're really excited about that. We've already got a waiting list of about 2 years of wineries who want to work with us, so we're really grateful for that. But yeah, we're solving some really interesting problems for the wine industry. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And you can also go back and take a look at episodes 1 through 4. So far, we've covered everything we did last year. So all of our 2022 accomplishments and some of our plans for 2023 as we move forward. In episode 2, we talked about how to earn rewards with tasting token NFTs. So that was a really fascinating topic. And tasting token NFTs, if you don't know what they are, you should really go back and have a look. I'm sure we'll be touching on all of that as well throughout this episode. We also did a deep dive into Digital Cork NFTs, another one of our NFTs at Club dVIN. And we did one episode so far that was all about the closure of our friends and family offer. So yeah, that is officially closed.
Yeah,
Crazy. That was really exciting. Dave actually was in New York with Real Vision, did a tasting live with Raoul Paul of Real Vision, and kind of brought that to an end in a really cool way because we love Real Vision.
it was really
Um,
fun. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, let's kick it off, Dave. We're going to touch on all those things throughout, and Dave's going to do a demo of the platform at the end, so you will be able to kind of see the anatomy of a digital cork and see what a tasting token looks like and piece that together if you're hearing those things for the first time. But yeah, so let's kick it off and talk about how to tokenize your wine cellar.
Sure.
Dave,
Hey,
you want to
before we
go ahead?
before we go, let me just also say to everybody, like if you missed any of those earlier episodes, you can go back and not only see them on YouTube, but if you'd rather listen to them as a podcast, you can subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You can go to our Substack. There's a bunch of different ways that you can get at that old content. Like if you'd rather read, Jana did a really great job of like cleaning up the like all of my ums and ahs on the transcript, so you can go through and read the transcript. And really, it's very easy to go back and kind of review all of the news for those first 4 episodes. And if you're new here, welcome. So we're excited
Yeah.
to see you, and please, smash the subscribe button. We want you to be around. We want you to hear more of what we have to say. We're going to try to do, one of these a week, really, through for the foreseeable future. We've got lots of fun stuff to talk about. We'll start bringing on a lot of interesting guests. So thanks again for joining us. So sorry for that, but go ahead. Jenna,
No, that's good.
let's get into it.
Okay, so for all of our existing members, the new feature coming is going to be tokenizing your wine cellar. So first, we're going to talk about how that works. So Dave, how is this going to work? How is this going to look?
Sure. So let me back up a step and say, our goal is we don't our the goal of our business. What we're really interested in doing is attaching digital corks to every luxury wine bottle out there. We're not trying to build an exchange. There's a bunch of other um, projects out there that are trying to build marketplaces or exchanges. That's not really us. What we want to do is actually really, really simple. We just want to put a digital cork on every bottle that'll give everyone the ability to mint a tasting token when they open that bottle. And we want to get people used to claiming these digital collectibles when they open and taste wine with friends, and then use those digital collectibles, those tasting tokens, to earn rewards and status and incentives from the winemakers. Our goal is to bring the winemaker and the wine lover closer together, and to do that with digital cork NFTs and tasting token NFTs, and using Web3 in general. So that's kind of the long-term goal. In the short term, what we really want to do what's really exciting for us, and one of the reasons that we opened up a membership in the first place, that we created Club dVIN, is so that we can give all of our members a chance to really participate in this, what we hope is a very big thing, from very early on. Help us to not only iron out any problems with the platform, and kind of help us to learn what works and what doesn't, and what's exciting and what's not, but also to get a chance to really play a role in building this thing that we hope will be, we call it the operating system for the luxury wine industry. So we know that it's going to take a long time with the wineries that we're working with. A lot of the wines that we're attaching digital corks to are wines that are, some of them are library wines. A lot of you have purchased wines on the platform that are, wines that are ready to drink. But most of the digital corks that are being attached to the platform, to wines for our winery partners right now, are wines that you're probably not going to open for 20 years. So for us, it's really important to start attaching digital corks to bottles that already exist, that are already in your cellar, so that you can start really learning how to open a digital cork, how to pull the digital cork, how to mint tokens for your friends, and you're going to earn really, really good rewards for doing that. And so that's really kind of a really big benefit that we're offering in the beginning, just to members. So, and really for the foreseeable future, probably for the next couple of years, this will really only be available to Genesis members or Global Insider members. So you have to be a token holder for Club dVIN in order to tokenize your cellar. And what do we mean when we say tokenize your cellar? Well, for this very first offering, and it's something that we're just offering this year, and again, it's just a test. We're going to learn a lot as we do it. But for this first offering, what we're doing is we're providing the ability for our Genesis members to create digital corks and attach digital corks to up to 50 bottles from your personal cellar. And for our Global Insider members, they have the ability to attach to create 100 digital corks from bottles in your personal cellar. Now, there's a million questions about that, and we don't. One of the questions that we get we know a lot of people are going to ask is, well, what happens after 100 bottles, right? What happens after 50 bottles? What happens next year? What happens when I drink all of those 50 bottles and now I want to tokenize more? Well, we're gonna work on that. We don't know if this is going to be like an annual allowance. You get 50 bottles a year, or 100 bottles a year. We're not sure if maybe as you open your bottles, you'll be able to mint more. There's a lot of different ways to look at it. But just know, and we're not sure how we're going to do it. It's going to depend a lot on kind of how much we can automate the process, and also how we can add authenticity to the process, because authenticity is really important. But just know that our long-term goal over time is to attach digital corks to every single luxury wine bottle. So every single bottle where when you open it, it's a special occasion. So that's our goal. It's going to take us a little bit of time to get there, but in the short term, if you're a member, you'll be able to mint digital corks for, if you're a Genesis member, up to 50 bottles. If you're a Global Insider member, up to 100 bottles from your personal cellar. I'm
All
going to stop
right.
talking there for a second. Jana, did I
No,
leave anything out?
no, I think that's great. So let's talk actually a little bit about how we're going to start doing it, and then maybe we can explain sort of what we're imagining the next stages will be. So with stage one being a manual stage, really the test run that you're talking about. So how what is going to be the first step for an existing member right now, Genesis or Global Insider? What is that member going to have to do in order to have us actually start with that 50 or 100 bottles in their cellar?
So, so there's really, like, the very first step is at some point, in the next 6 weeks before the end of May, you'll get an email that'll go out probably through our Substack, that will point to a form online where you can add your name to the waiting list, and or add your name to the list, because we're gonna have to do these one by one in the beginning. We've learned how to do it pretty quickly, but we're still not going to be able to do everyone in the first month, right? So we'll have a list. We'll give you the ability to sign in with your wallet, to put your name on the list, and then we'll form kind of an orderly process that way. So once your name is on the list, and after we get to you, we'll send you a very simple, super simple spreadsheet, a super simple form for you to go through and select the 50 bottles. And you don't have to do 50 at once. You can do 20 or 25 or 10 bottles at first if you want to. But we'll give you the ability we'll give you a super simple spreadsheet where you can add the 50 bottles from your cellar that you would like to tokenize to the spreadsheet.
Yeah. And you know
What
what?
will Go
I
ahead.
think it's going to be, depending on the interest we get from members on this, you could send us 50 or 100 if you're Global Insider wines all at once on that form. But depending on the interest, we may have to break it up and say we're going to do 10 of
Sure.
everybody's first, and then kind of cycle back through. So just to be
Sure. So what we'll do there, and you really just need to give us the name of the wine and the vintage. And what we'll use, we're working with LiveX, which is a company that does, they're kind of the largest company in the world for wine information, for wine trading. They're a trading platform for wine. But what they've built is a really interesting database called the LWIN database. And that database has really all of the data, all of the metadata, all the information, interesting information for every wine and every vintage. So we'll use that. You don't need to send us all of the metadata for every bottle. You just need to send us the name of the wine and the vintage, and we'll be able to very easily go and get all of that great metadata. The one stipulation for that is we're only going to make digital corks for wines that are part of that database. So they have it's pretty extensive. I think the last time I looked, there were 250,000 or maybe 275,000 labels. So it's pretty extensive. The wines in your cellar will probably be on it, but there are definitely some obscure wines that we won't be able to build digital corks for in this process. There are some obscure ones, but for the most part, for most of you, 99% of the bottles in your cellar will be on this, will be part of the Elwyn database.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, and then so the authentication process for this,
Yeah.
for the manual stage, let's talk a little bit about that because there's going to be two options, right? There's going to be a virtual option and there's going to be an in real life option, which is pretty cool.
Sure.
So go for it.
Well, let me just say that for the most part, there's an important piece to this, which is, and a lot of people have asked us about authenticity, and we really, for a long time, we're really thinking about how can we make sure that every bottle on the platform is authentic? How can we make sure 100% that every bottle is authentic? And what we learned over time is that while that's important, it's important to have 100% surety. We're probably never going to get it because there are too many ways to kind of cheat the system if you want to. There are way too many ways to do it, and we kind of sat around and we spent a lot of time talking about it. We did a lot of reading. We talked to a lot of people that actually try to build tools for authenticity. And what we found is that at least in the beginning, for right now, more important than having 100% authenticity on every digital cork that we create, what we want to have is radical transparency. That's the most important thing. So what we created, and we've shown this off in a lot of the demos that we've done, and I'll show it off a little bit later, is kind of a 3-tier system for authenticity. The first tier is obviously if the wine comes directly from the winery. If we can prove and we know that the wine comes directly from the winery, meaning the chain of custody starts at the winery, then those bottles have one layer that have kind of our top layer of provenance, which is the blue check mark. We have a second layer that is the green check mark, and that's for retail. And that's for any kind of professional wine company, whether it's sometimes it's a restaurant, sometimes it's a wine shop, maybe it's an auction house, or maybe it's someone who is a professional wine authenticator like Maureen Downing and Shea Consulting. So they're a professional authenticator, and with that professional authentication, or with a restaurant or with a wine shop, you get a green check mark, which means we can't trace it all the way back to the winery. The chain of custody doesn't go all the way back to the winery, but it starts at a trusted source. And so you, as the person who might be buying that bottle, you can say, well, I'm probably going to pay more for the one that came directly from the winery, but maybe depending on the source, I'd be interested in buying a bottle that has a green check mark. Well, the third layer of provenance is the white check mark. And that's what we're using for any wine that is authenticated from a private cellar, right? So we've got really 2 ways of doing that. Way number 1, the super simple way, is we'll do a virtual authentication process with each one of our members. And that means that we'll get on Zoom with you with one of our concierge team, or one of our team that WSET diploma holders, very knowledgeable wine experts. And what we'll do is we'll go through each of your bottles. We'll want to look at them. You'll need to show it to us on the camera, and then we'll authenticate that bottle, and we will mint the digital cork. In that case, you'll get a white check mark, and the source on the bottle will say Private Cellar. And what that means, and what we'll make sure that everybody knows, is that on chain, that bottle will be authenticated from, or the provenance of that bottle will be a private cellar. And so that's our third layer of provenance. Now, if you're interested in having your cellar professionally authenticated, we've done an agreement with Maureen and Shea Consulting. We're still kind of putting the crossing the I's and dotting the T's. But over the course of the next few weeks, we'll have a deal in place where either in person, someone from Shea Consulting will come to your house or come to your cellar and authenticate the bottles in person, or you can have the bottles shipped to an authenticator, and they'll authenticate them and then ship them back to you. And in both of those cases, instead of getting the white check mark that says that this bottle was the source of this bottle is Private Cellar, it will say the source of this bottle was authenticated by Shea Consulting, and you'll get a green check mark in that case. So you'll have a couple of different options, and we're happy to talk to you about those options kind of on an individual basis. Now, again, the most important thing to remember is we're just getting started. This is the very first step. We know that, a year from now, the process will probably be completely automated. You'll be able to export from, or not even export. You'll be able to just connect your wallet to your seller tracker account or any of the other software that you use to manage your cellar, and we'll just automatically create the digital corks, which would be super cool, and that's going to be super fun. We're also talking to a couple of different services where you'll be able to take a picture of your bottle, and it's not one picture. It's like, you take 6 pictures and they piece it all together, and they authenticate it that way. And then you get a special, that'll be another layer of authentication that you get. Right now it's all manual. So you're going to have to bear with us a little bit. It's going to take some time, but the main thing that you get at the end of this is you'll get 50 or 100 bottles from your cellar with digital corks in your wallet, in your dVIN wallet, your dVIN account. And when you open those bottles, you'll be able to mint tasting tokens for your friends, and those tasting tokens will earn rewards with the winery. And we're really, really excited about that. Now, obviously, some of the wineries, we're going to have to do lots and lots of deals with lots and lots of wineries. We have a lot of wineries in the pipeline. So it might not happen, everything might not happen on day one, but over time, we feel really, really confident about the process. And I'm going to stop there for a second because I've been talking for too long.
No. So I just want to point out too, in case it wasn't clear, when Dave's talking about check marks, for anyone who hasn't seen a tasting token or a digital cork, you will see one soon when we do the demo. But these check marks that Dave's talking about appear on the creative. So when you're actually looking at the digital corks and the tasting tokens in your wallet or on OpenSea or Rareable or wherever you're viewing those NFTs, you'll be able to see the source right away. It's one of the first things that you'll be able to see in the top right corner, and it's also listed in the metadata with an actual description of which tier it belongs in. Okay, cool. So
speaking
Dave,
of that, why don't I go ahead and show? Should we do a quick demo now?
Let's do it. Yeah.
All right, cool. So this is a lot of you have seen this. This is the standard homepage, and I'll say, as I've said, every time that we do this, we are not just mobile first. We're kind of mobile only. And when you sign onto our website, and with the idea being that most people aren't, tasting wine or drinking wine with their friends, with their laptop around. So we built this to be very simple, very easy. You can do it with either an Android phone or iOS, and you sign in at app.clubdvin.com. And if you don't have an account, it's really, really easy to make a new account with either your Google account or your Apple account or your Twitter account, or even, I think we even do LinkedIn now. So super, super easy to create a new account on Club dVIN with like just a couple of taps. So I'm just gonna kind of go through this really quickly. As everyone knows, or if you've seen the demo before, the tasting journey. These are my NFTs for all of the wines that I've tasted. These are all tasting token NFTs that represent those wines. And then here in the digital cellar, these are digital corks. So all of these NFTs are wines that represent actual bottles that I own in my cellar. So we created a couple of demo bottles earlier that we're going to actually use for some demos that we're doing next week. But basically, we used our good friend and founding member David for his new wine, Kostalanka. If you don't know about it and you haven't tasted it, you should find out,
Oh,
and you
it's
should go
so
to the
good.
website and buy it because he makes very, very little of it. And I think the 2018 is his first vintage. And as soon as that gets out in the world, you're never going to be able to find it.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
we're talking to him about getting an allocation, and it's hard because he doesn't have very much wine.
Yeah.
So if you can find it, go to I think it's closesalenka.com. Go buy it if you haven't bought it. But what I want to show you here is kind of the three different kinds of provenance, right? So you can almost make it out in the upper right-hand corner. So this is a green check, this is a white check, this is a blue check. So let me kind of show you what that means. So the blue check is the standard that you've probably seen if you've bought wine on the platform and minted tokens for your friends, or if you've been to one of our events and minted a token. You've probably gotten one of these blue check marks because all of the wine that we sell on the platform and all of the wine that we bring to events, it's all direct from the winery. So we source it directly from the winery. The chain of custody means it comes directly from the winery. We know, like, every bottle has perfect provenance. And you can see here that the source is Kostalanka. It's a blue check mark. It means that it came directly from the winery. So that's what that means. If I go back and look at the green check mark, so the green check mark, it's the same exact bottle of wine. It just has a green check mark on the top. And that's a source that comes from like I said, from retail, or from a restaurant, or from a professional authenticator, or from an auction house, for example. So we put in here Bacchus Wine and Spirits, which is one of our partners in San Francisco. Really, really great wine shop. If you've never been there, you should. It's like they share space with, I think, the best butcher on the West Coast. They do these great events. It's a fantastic, fantastic place, and they're good friends of ours. So go check them out. And pretty soon, you'll be able to buy wine in the shop that'll have digital corks attached. They're our first retail partner to launch. I think 2 weeks from today, or a week or two, very, very soon. So but the green check mark means that this particular bottle was sourced from the wine shop, and that's where the chain of custody starts, and that's the second layer of provenance. And the third layer is the white check mark. So the white check mark just means that it came from a private cellar. That was the source. We're not going to put any names in there, so you can't say it's David Garrett cellar, or it's Jana Kryline cellar. And the reason for that is all of this information is on chain, meaning it's public information. So if it's a private cellar, it's just private cellar. Doesn't matter if it's Dave's private cellar or Jana's or anyone's. One private cellar is the same as any other. So bear that in mind as we kind of go through the process, and also bear that in mind if you're ever going to buy wine from another member or from someone else. If you see that the source of that is a private cellar, you'll know that that's where it was authenticated. It was probably virtually authenticated, and you'll understand that as being the provenance.
So Dave, what is the reality then if I'm buying wines later on the secondary market? Because we've always talked about the wines that we sell through the platform have perfect provenance. We are sourcing them, as Dave said, directly from the winery most of the times, or from trusted retailers. But now let's say that I'm buying a wine on the secondary market. It's got a white check mark on the NFT, and it says it's from a private seller. What is the reality of that? What's the price differential going to look like there?
Well, I think the market's going to decide, but I'm going to guess that that you're going to lose about 20% of the value with every step down the chain, right? So
Right.
if it's a $200 bottle, and you know that it has perfect provenance, that it came straight from the winery, you'll, maybe that's worth 200. If it's something that has that starts at retail, maybe you'll lose 20% of that. So maybe that'll be more 160. And then if it's a private seller, maybe you'll lose another 20% or maybe 30% from there. So
Okay.
maybe that bottle will only sell for, 95 or $100.
Okay.
So I think that's probably makes sense. But at the end of the day, it's not for me to decide, right? Like that's what we're going to do is provide all the information. We're going to provide all the transparency, and the market will decide. And
Right.
and what's interesting about it is over time, you might see there being even more price differential depending on the seller, right? So if let's say you and I both have a bottle of the 2018 Costalanca a priori, right? And both of us, it was authenticated from our seller, so it's white check mark for both of us. But you can look at me as a seller, and you can. This is all completely transparent, and it's all on the blockchain. You can see that I've bought and sold 1,000 bottles. But someone looks at your wallet and they see you've only bought and sold 2 bottles.
Right.
Well, they might be willing to pay more for mine because I have more trust in the system, right? I have
Mhm.
I have a I have a longer history and more trust in the system, and people might view that as having a better, having better provenance than you with only 2 bottles. I don't
Is there
know if
a
that's the
way?
case, but it's possible.
Is there a way? Now, this is literally just top of my head. Is there a way for people to build status on like the condition of their cellar, on the condition of the wines that they've sold? Is there a rating system?
I think there will be over time. Right now, again, everything's very early. We're still so early in Web3, but I think
Mhm.
over time there will be ways to be able to. I don't know if it'll be like a rating style system. I'm not sure what that's going to look like. It's something that we'll be kind of playing with in the future. But
Mhm.
for right now, it's pretty anonymous, and it's going to be. And I think that mostly you'll just look and see, someone that that buys and sells a lot of wine probably has more to risk with having wines that have, either questionable provenance or, questionable storage, whereas someone that, is only selling 1 or 2 bottles might have less to risk, and so you might trust them a little bit less.
Oh,
So, but we're
okay.
still, again, early days. We're still working on it. Don't exactly know what that's going to look like.
Okay, but so to summarize then, like the big perk right now for tokenizing your seller is really the ability to be able to actually mint and distribute the tasting tokens to your friends and family from home, and then obviously unlocking the rewards that come with collecting those tokens, right?
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Okay, awesome.
I'm going to
Well,
stop sharing.
yeah, thanks for the demo.
Sure.
So I'm
Anytime.
just gonna put this out there. If anyone has any questions, put them up in the chat now. We've got a couple announcements that we're gonna go through as well. Um, unless Dave, I don't wanna cut you off. Was there
No, no,
anything else?
no. I'm good. I think we did a good. We kind of went through it. I think we everybody understands it. We definitely. I know that people are going to have tons and tons of questions as this comes out at the podcast. I expect that we're going to get lots of incoming for this particular project, and I bet that we're going to have to revisit it on future episodes.
Yeah.
So don't think that this is all the information you're ever going to get about this project. This is kind of our core feature that we're releasing and the most important thing we're doing this year. So please, if you've got questions, if you've got comments, if you've got ideas, if you've heard this and you're like, huh, maybe they could do it this way, please don't hesitate. We're really looking for our community to help us do this in the very best way. So looking forward to hearing from you.
All right. Cool. So I can see a couple of questions popping up here. We're gonna get to those in a second, but let's give people a little more time to add anything else there. And Dave, let's talk quickly about what you were doing in New York 2 weeks ago now. Super bummed. I was supposed to be joining Dave in New York a couple weeks ago, and British Airways. This is a little bit of a slam to British Airways. Maybe I'll have to edit this out, but they did not want me to be there. I had really bad luck. I had 2 flight cancellations, and like 2 days later, I was still stuck in London on my way to New York. And Dave had all the fun without me. So, Dave, you want to talk about what you were doing there and what?
Sure. So Real Vision was having a series of events and trainings and classes over a period of 3 days, and they invited us to come and do some kind of very. We did some really interesting tastings with their groups during their breaks. We minted a lot of tokens. We talked to people about exactly what the platform was and how it worked. It was a very small group. I think there were 20 people. We did it in the studios at Real Vision, and then at the end, I sat down with Raoul and did I don't know. We talked for maybe 40 minutes about everything wine, but mostly about digital corks and tasting tokens and how that works. And if you haven't seen that yet, I highly recommend you doing it.
Yes, be sure to watch that. That was so cool. I was so jealous. FOMO.
Well, we missed
Um,
you, Jenna. It
thank
was
you.
really fun.
Thanks for saying that, Dave.
I see the questions that are coming on the YouTube about and just to open it up. So a lot of people have multiple wallets, and I'm gonna talk for a minute about this because a lot of people, most of the people that are members of Club dVIN, a lot of them don't really even know they have a wallet. They used their Google account or their Apple account to sign in the first time. We created a lightweight wallet for them based on their Google account or attached to their Google account, and a lot of them just use the app without really even thinking about the wallet aspect of it. So wallet is for some of our users and for some of our listeners on the podcast is going to be kind of a weird concept. And so I want to talk about it for a second and say what a wallet is in crypto or in Web3 is it's your secure location. It's your secure location on the blockchain to hold your assets, right? So there are lots and lots of different kinds of wallets, lots and lots of different ways to store your NFTs or your digital collectibles or your cryptocurrencies. Um, I always kind of refer back to the the actual real world analogs. So I think about it like this. Um, most people might have a money clip, right? Like something small that you can put maybe 1 or 2 cards in and a couple of dollars or a couple of euros, and you take it to the gym, or you take it when you go for a run, or if you're just kind of out like walking around, you might not want to carry a big bulky wallet and you just have something super simple. But you wouldn't put a lot of money in there. And you wouldn't put, because maybe you're leaving it in your locker at the gym, or maybe it's like, clipped to your shorts when you're going for a run. So you don't keep a lot of money in there, but something just to kind of use day to day. And then one step up from that, maybe you've got a wallet, like a real wallet that you would keep in your purse or that you would put in your pocket. And it's got your driver's license and it's got all of your credit cards and maybe your airline cards and your Costco card, and it's got a bunch of cash that you use for shopping, and like that's the wallet that you take out shopping. And then one step up from that, you've got a bank account, right? And a bank account where you might keep large amounts of cash. Maybe it's a brokerage account. You keep your stocks and bonds there. And then one step up from that, you have a safety deposit box at the bank, right? And that's where you keep your, maybe the title to your house or art or gold if you've got it, or diamonds or jewelry, or really really important valuable one-on-ones. So it really kind of depends on the value of that thing where you're going to keep, or the keep you use different things for different purposes. So we like to think of our wallet, the wallets that we create with Club dVIN, as much more like your money clip, right? It's really good for keeping your digital cork, or for your really good for tasting tokens. To some extent, you can keep your digital corks in there. But it's not really good if you're going to go and, like, if you're trading Bitcoin or Ethereum or buying a bunch of cryptocurrency, you really want to keep that in a more secure location than in your money clip. So kind of one step up, the regular wallet, that's kind of equivalent to a MetaMask wallet, or some other kind of soft wallet that you can use for shopping, or that you can use for relatively small amounts of currency. A step up from there would be like similar to a bank account, might be your Coinbase account, right? Someplace where it's not really your crypto, like you're storing it with a bunch of other people's crypto, but like you have an account there. And then one step up from there would be like a hardware wallet, like a ledger. And that's really similar to like a safety deposit box. In fact, a lot of people keep their ledger wallets in their safety deposit box. Or maybe they keep their private keys in their safety deposit box. So, what we're planning to do over time, and it's probably the next level of development for us, is to have a multi-wallet account. So if you want to keep your membership tokens and your digital corks in your hard wallet, you can do that without having to sign in every time and use your hard wallet to mint a tasting token. So over time, you will have a dVIN account where you can have multiple wallets, and you can keep multiple things in different wallets. We don't have that yet. It's on the roadmap. It's probably a couple months away, but certainly before the end of the year, I would almost guarantee that you'll be able to have your hardware wallet that has the assets that you want to keep in there, your lightweight wallet, like whether it's a MetaMask or just your dVIN native wallet, also attached to the account. So it's very, very easy for you to mint tasting tokens or for you to open bottles without having to attach your hardware wallet every time. So I hope that answers the question, and I'm sorry that I went so deep into it, but it really is a question that we get all the time. And I think if I just answered it, if I just answered the question directly, a lot of people that kind of don't really understand wallets or that aren't sure about wallets would be lost. So sorry for taking a long time to answer that question.
No, it's always that was a good detour. I think that probably helps a lot of people, especially our wine native people who maybe aren't so familiar with how all of those things work, and maybe intimidated by the idea of having a wallet, and in case they lose the security phrase or things like that. We get questions like that all the time. So for anybody, and we have a thank you. So yes, you answered the question. For anybody listening to the podcast or watching this later who may not be able to see the chat, I'm just going to read out the two questions that we had there. I think both of them were answered. We had my member NFT and dVIN NFTs bought on the platform are on a hardware wallet, and that makes tasting tokens and etc. fairly difficult from mobile. Any good advice for that problem? And then we had the new private seller capabilities sound amazing. Thank you. We are excited about them. For the mobile app, is it best to store your NFTs in the Club dVIN account wallet, or can I continue to use my hardware wallet? So yes, Dave touched on both those. Awesome. So any other questions, feel free to put them in there now. Otherwise, we will move on with a last few announcements. We are going to be in Hamburg next month for OMR. Very excited about that. In case you don't know what that is, OMR is one of the biggest digital festivals in the world for digital marketing. And Dave and I are going to be on May 10th presenting on the blue stage at 6 p.m. So that's going to be in Hamburg on May 9th and 10th. And again, on the 10th at 6 p.m., we will be doing kind of like a little masterclass and demo together with 30 Acker, which is a fabulous winery who are also working with NFTs here in Germany. So we're really looking forward to that. Everyone will have a chance to taste some wines and learn a little bit more about the innovation and, well, the future of wine as we see it. And otherwise, we've got another wine drop coming in 5 days. We're going to be doing another wine drop for our members. Not going to tell you too much about it quite yet, but stay
It's
tuned.
pretty exciting.
It is pretty exciting. We will be
Yeah.
posting as usual about that on our social platforms, and of course, we'll be sending that out on Substack as well. Dave, do you want to give a little update about Bhutan? We're gonna start doing some regular updates about Bhutan with Michael Juergens, who is the founder of the Bhutan Wine Company.
Sure.
So yeah, Dave.
Sure. So we did a live stream back in January, and I think we're going to repost that live stream in this feed. So if you missed it back in January, it'll be available, where I spent a good 40 minutes talking to Michael. We talked about the plans for this year and for next year. But starting in May, we're going to do once a month or maybe once every 2 weeks updates on our Discord for members only, with Michael Juergens and Anne Cross, who's the CEO of the Bhutan Wine Company. We'll be talking about updates and really start driving towards that the steering committee trip that we're doing this year, and the big trips that we're doing next year. So we're lots more information coming on Bhutan, really starting, and pretty regular, starting next week or starting next month.
Yeah, exactly. And anyone who doesn't know about Bhutan at all, just a super, super, super quick
Check the
kind of
website.
summary, is we are going to be doing, so Club dVIN has been given exclusivity for our members to participate in the inaugural harvest in the Himalayas. So the Bhutan Wine Company planted 13 grape varieties in the Himalayas. Very exciting project. And a few of our members are going to have the exclusive opportunity to go and actually break ground on the Sirkim winery there and participate in the harvest. So that's really making history in the wine world, and we're really looking forward to it. So more updates on that coming soon.
It's very, very cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, the team went last fall to visit. If you go to Instagram or check out the website, there's amazing photos from Bhutan, amazing photos from the vineyards. It is going to be a life-altering event. So
Absolutely.
I highly recommend anybody that any member that would like to go, start listening in, because I think there's going to be a mad rush at the end. So
For sure.
really looking forward to I'm so looking forward to it. It's going to be amazing.
Me too. And this is no luxury trip. Okay. We're going to be putting you to work. So
That's right.
expect that.
Bring your gloves.
Bring your gloves. Awesome. And then to close it off, since our public sale is closed and since our friends and family has ended, anybody who's interested in joining the club, the only way to get in right now is to sip your way into the club. Okay. So we've talked about this concept before. Basically, what you need to do is have an existing member mint you a tasting token. So basically, pour you a glass of wine, mint you a tasting token, and then our buying process is token gated. So the only way that you'll be able to actually get to the buying screen is if you've got a token, a dVIN token in your wallet. And if you don't know
The only
anybody,
way to become a member. Yeah.
if you don't have, good wine friends, email us. We'll do our best to,
Introduce you to someone. We can
we'll
match
introduce
make.
you. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. We'll connect you.
But
Wine is all
we really want to grow organically. We want to make sure that, like, the people that are becoming members of the club are friends of friends, and we're growing slowly and dynamically and organically, just through friends. Like, that's the idea. You gotta if you want to be a member of the club, you gotta get someone to pour you a glass of wine. So I really like that concept, and it's something that we really, it was part of our ethos when we started. We're really excited to kind of get that going now. So so if you want one of your friends, if you're a member and your friends are interested in becoming members, you just need to pour them a glass of wine and mint them a token. And if you're out there and you don't have any friends that are members, let us know, and we'll see if we can hook you up.
And if you have a friend who's a member and they don't have any wine, let them know we're doing a wine drop next week. You're going to have some wine in order to be able to mint that token, right?
or they can tokenize their cellar, right?
Or that.
That's coming soon as well.
Exactly. All right.
All
And
right.
yeah, and exciting news. I mean, I think this is exciting news. I don't know if I should be mentioning this, but our Global Insider, the floor price of our Global Insider memberships hit 14 ETH last week. So it was pretty sweet if you got in on friends and family at
no
at
doubt.
1.5.
Yeah.
So we were excited.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jenna. This was really, really great. I think we had a successful.
Well, thanks everybody for joining. And again, feel free to always reach out to Dave or I by email at d@clubdvin.com or j@clubdvin.com. We are always available, and stay tuned for what's to come. Thank you.
See ya.
Thanks, Dave. Bye.